Bam! What is going on? Everybody, how are we doing? It is Saturday night. My name is Brian Tripp. I'm with Real Estate Investing Live, and we are live right now. So glad that you're joining us. Everybody's flooding in. Our first panelist is in. Todd, can you hear us? Todd, can you hear us? What's up, man? Tim is on the line. We got Ryan.
What's up, bro?
Don is in the house.
Hey.
And we should have Ron joining us any minute. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
What's going on?
Can everybody hear? Tim, can you hear us? Perfect. We are great. We're just waiting for Ron. And while we wait on Ron, I want to welcome everyone to our state of real estate, the current state of the real estate market. What is going on right now? We have 5 incredible expert panelists who are going to tell us what's going on in their world. I think we have a very diverse group. We've got wholesalers, rehabbers, apartment, multifamily people, turnkey operation people. We're very diverse tonight, and I want to get perspectives from all these gentlemen. Before we get into that, we're still waiting on Ron, by the way. And before we get into all that, I want to thank a couple of people. First of all, I want to thank our panelists, our all-star panelists. Thank you guys so much for joining us on a Saturday night. A lot of us are locked in, so confined to our own spaces, so it's probably a good use of time for a lot of us. I want to thank our sponsor for the evening too, REI Print Mail. Guys, if you are still doing mail outs, which we're going to talk about that next week. I'm going to get to that in a second. If you're still doing mail outs, I want to encourage you to use REI Print Mail. They're the cheapest ones. They're the best ones in the business. Use the promo code REI Live to get a 10% discount. Thank you so much to our sponsors, REI Print Mail. Ron has joined us. What's going on, Ron? Can you hear us?
I'm here, man. How you guys doing?
Perfect. Awesome. We're doing great. And before we get to our panelists, I want to also tell you guys about next week. Our lineup for next week, we've got 4 of the 5 confirmed. Well, we've got 3 of the 5 confirmed. A 4th is almost confirmed, and a 5th is getting there. So we have 3. Steve Trang out of Phoenix, Arizona is going to be one of our panelists. Jamil Damji, also out of Phoenix, Arizona, is going to be one of our panelists next Saturday night, along with Kyle Malian, who is just an incredible business owner. He has a lot of over 100 rental properties in the Southeast, but he also is just a businessman. He runs multi-million dollar businesses, plural. So he's going to be on to give us some perspective. So with all that being said, I want to welcome all of our panelists. I want to talk to you guys individually for just about 60 seconds each. And I'm just going to go by what's on my screen. Todd, you're at the top of my screen. So we're going to start with you. Todd Toback, been wholesaling for a very long period of time. I know, Todd, you are coaching really only people who are like in it and doing it. And you are at the forefront of what is going on right now. First of all, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, what you got going on today, and give us your 30-second version of what is going on in the real estate market in your world.
Well, if anyone wants to reach out to me, they can reach out to me at toddtoback.com. Or I got a YouTube channel, Todd Toback. Love to hear from you. Or you can leave a comment on my Instagram. I always check it. So feel free to reach out. But I'll tell you what, right now, what's going on is buyers in the residential market are spooked. They're spooked, at least in California, right? So that's a really, really interesting development. Sellers are starting to call the phones again who didn't want to do business, and now they want to do business. So it's going to be a very interesting development. We've locked up deals this past 2 weeks that I don't think I would have seen any time in the last 2 to 3 years. So that's what's happened, you know, in terms of what's going to happen in the future. Let's see it unfold. But right now, things are changing out here in California. Not sure what the future holds, but excited to get moving.
Ryan Garcilaso, the rehabdepot.com. The Rehab Depot, the guy to go to if you want to learn how to not get screwed by your contractor. Ryan, give us your 60-second version of what you see in the marketplace today where you are in Chicago.
Well, what I'm seeing here in Chicago, basically, Brian, is essentially a lot of deals are falling through. A lot of loans are being postponed. Closing dates are being moved back to April, possibly back to May. So I do see a little slow period, but again, I think we all know that's going to happen. So I think there's a little bit of a slow delay happening in the industry right now as a whole. And like Toback was saying, there's fear. But at the end of the day, if you've got a solid business model and a solid plan, and that's who you are up here, you're going to get through it quickly. You just have to plan. You adjust, you navigate. So yeah, there's a slowdown, but I don't anticipate that being a tremendous burden on us. It really comes down to the quarantine. I think ultimately, since, for us in Illinois, and everybody knows that Chicago is Illinois, so for us being locked down in a certain way in terms of a quarantine, it does hinder your ability to run your business. But, this is where cash reserves come in.
For sure. No, I appreciate that perspective. Tim Bratz, you're the next one kind of in the line. Tim, I know you're doing a lot of commercial stuff. And by the way, guys, you can learn more about Tim at commercialempire.com. And I know your event business is obviously slowed down as well. All of our events businesses have kind of slowed down right now. Tim, from the multifamily angle, give us kind of the 60-second version of what you see today. And we're going to get into some specifics down the road. What's your 60-second version? What's happening right now?
Bro, I've been waiting the past 12 years for the next 12 months. I lived through 2009, 2011, 2012, and I was newer in real estate, right? At that time, I started investing in 2009, bought my first property, and didn't have the amount of resources, connections, knowledge, insights that I have today. And so I couldn't really capitalize on what happened in the last downturn. And I knew, dude, it's like shooting fish in barrels. The people buying as many properties as you wanted for pennies on the dollar. And, obviously the market's been going gangbusters for the past couple of years. It's been crazy. There's been a lot of people getting into real estate and prices being bid up. But, there's obviously uncertainty. Obviously, the live event business is gone, right? But our events have gone digital now. So we do boot camps online. I'm doing my Commercial Empire event online and everything. But as far as buying property, I'm buying 130 units next week. I'm buying another 196 units 2 weeks from now. I'm buying some land to build on Hilton Head Island in about 60, 90 days from now. And there's deals coming across our desk. So if you have money, if you have cash flow, and you have a balance sheet, you can still qualify for financing. Dude, there are deals everywhere. They are all over the place right now. So it's not a time where you do not take advantage of people, but you capitalize on a situation, right? And there's obviously people that are motivated sellers that it means more to them to get rid of the property and have peace of mind than it is to get the top dollar for that property. And so we're able to solve that problem and take these properties off their plate, give them peace of mind, and we're able to get deep discounts on it. So we're in acquisition mode in a big way right now.
I want to get back to that. I know everybody on the panel has probably got some very specific things to say about what you say, because from what I'm hearing, Tim, that's the minority from what I'm hearing. And you're probably like, good, great, that's awesome. So I definitely want to touch on that point. Don Costa in California as well. So we got two people from the West Coast, which is great. It gives us some really good perspective. Last week, we were more East Coast heavy. So this is really good. I'd love to kind of get your Flip Talk, by the way, is not only the podcast, but incredible content. I was on the show. I love the show. Don does an incredible job. First and foremost. But Don, give us your 60-second version of what's going on. You're doing fix and flips right now in the California market. Give us your 60-second version of what's going on right now.
Yeah, we're one of those unique kind of hybrids. We wholesale and we fix and flip. And, we do about 100 plus rehabs a year and about 50, 60 wholesale transactions a year. So we're seeing on the wholesale side kind of same thing. I think a lot of people are seeing buyers are getting a little iffy and sketchy, especially in California with the new eviction laws that pass. And then you have the whole moratorium on evictions and stuff like that. Buyers are getting a little hesitant about buying properties that have tenants in them more so than they already were in California. And that's definitely slowing some things down on the wholesale side. On the rehab side, I will tell you that as a buyer, we're a lot more careful about what we're doing. We've used private money, so we're not affected by hard money kind of disappearing at the moment. I've always had good private money relationships, but I am getting a little bit more particular about what I'm doing and what I'm buying from the buyer side. I went through 2008 and 2009. And I lost everything because I was basically a fool and I didn't react properly or quick enough. And so this time around, I'm probably being a little bit more cautious about what I'm doing and what I'm buying. I'm anxious for the opportunity that's going to happen. I'm just kind of waiting to see where that bottom is going to be, if that makes sense. We may have a run coming out of this, or we may have a fall, and I'm just trying to gauge which way that's going to go at this point in time. So that's where we're at.
Awesome. Ron Phillips, I know that you're going to be able to provide a lot of perspective from more of the buy side. RP Capital, give me the website where people can go to learn more about you, and also give us kind of the 60-second version of what you're up to and what you see going on right now, Ron.
Yeah, you can find me at rpcinvest.com, and my podcast is at getrealestatesuccess.com. And we're still just like everybody else, we're still buying, both on the multifamily side, and we're still selling to our clients. We're in safe markets, so as long as you buy with good fundamentals, solid fundamentals, then it really doesn't make any difference which part of the real estate cycle you're in. I mean, if everything falls apart in a year, and we get some crazy downturn, well then all the better. But that doesn't mean there's not real estate deals right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them, actually.
So I want to start right there, because I think that that's really an important point. And Tim, you're the first one that kind of brought this up. So I want to start with you, that there are deals to be had. There are so many people who are also in wait and see mode, have just completely pumped the brakes, maybe went through it in 2008 and just, that's not happening again, completely pumped the brakes right now. What you're seeing right now is there's deals everywhere, but there's so much uncertainty. We don't know how long this thing's going to last, what's going to go on. Like, why do you feel so confident right now that right now is the time to continue to buy?
I think it's a great question, and it's probably the $1 million question, right? I think it goes back to what Ron had just said. And first of all, this is a rock star panel. You guys are all aces. I look up to every single one of you guys. It means a lot to be on here with you guys, so I'm excited to be here. Appreciate you guys having me. Brian, appreciate you putting this thing together.
Awesome.
I do think it goes back to what Ron had just said, in that, what is your buying strategy? There's a lot of people who go in and have been going into the market, and they're buying at retail price, and they're hoping tomorrow it's worth more than what it was today, right? And that does not work. When you're speculating on appreciation, when you're speculating on values, that's not a winning business model. And so, I've been in real estate since 2015 and started investing in 2009. Been in real estate since 2005, started investing in 2009, and I saw everybody who either they were up here and then they went bankrupt, and I saw the people who were able to ride out the storm from the last recession. And there were a couple of key points and strategies in their business model that allowed them to ride it out. Number one is you always buy at wholesale price. I don't care what's going on with the market. I don't care what other people are paying. You always buy at a wholesale price. If you're at a low enough basis on the property, then you have many different exit strategies, right? Doesn't matter if the market drops by 30%. If you're buying for 60 cents on the dollar, you can still get out of that property. You can still refinance it. You can still cash flow it. So that's number one. Number two is I don't hope for appreciation. I create appreciation through value add, right? And so anybody who doesn't know, I buy apartment buildings, 100 units or bigger. I have a little over 3,700 units. We have another 400, some that are closing in the next 60 days. So, I'm not one of those investors that has 1%, 2%. I have a large chunk of equity in every single one of the apartment buildings that I own. So this has been a principle for us, is that we don't buy at a retail price. We buy at a wholesale price, and then we create appreciation versus speculating or hoping for appreciation. And that's why doing the value add process, right? So we're putting sweat equity in the property, and we're forcing the appreciation up in a very short period of time, again, to give us more padding based on where the value is and what we're all into it for. And then the third one is I always buy for cash flow. I think cash flow is one of those lowest common denominators of, does a deal work? If you're buying for cash flow, you can typically have all other exit strategies. You can sell it, you can refinance it, you can get creative on the exit strategies. And so that's what we do, man. We meet a couple of these different things and check all these different boxes. And whether the economy's up or the economy's down, we're still buying at wholesale. I've just been saying no to a lot of deals and had to sort through way more deals over the past couple of years than I had 4 or 5 years ago, right? So it's a waiting game. It's a numbers game. I don't get emotional about it, and we just keep rocking and rolling. So right now, buying and motivations for sellers have increased exponentially over the past 3 weeks alone. And now, People who were laughing me out of negotiations back in January are coming back and asking me if I'll buy the property. But just like what Don's doing, and Ryan's doing, and Todd's doing, and Ron's doing, we're all buying at a lower basis now, right? So it's not that I'm just still throwing money around. I'm still now, instead of being 65 cents on the dollar all in, I'm all in for 50 cents on the dollar, right?
And I want to get back to something that you mentioned too. You mentioned cash flow is a big piece of your business and what is happening to cash flow right now. We're going to get back to that. That's a little teaser for everybody. That's going to be our next question. But Ron, I want you to weigh in on what Tim just said, because you guys are the ones that kind of brought this up. You guys, and Ron, you in particular, you're working with so many other buyers as well. So it's not just you, it's all your clients as well. So give us that perspective right now. The turnkey client, the buyers in general, are they not scared?
Oh yeah, there's no question. I mean, our business has slowed down because people are losing their minds. But I mean, this is what I tell people: look, this is not 2008. This is an entirely different market, right? It's entirely different. If you'd asked me 6 months ago if some cute little bug from Wuhan, China, would shut down the greatest economy in the world, I would have told you you're smoking crack. And here we are, right? So. But that doesn't change the underlying fundamentals of the real estate market, right? We're going to have a period here where we're going to have some adjustment. Nobody really knows what that's going to look like. And like somebody said, I can't remember who said it, but on the other side of this, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down. I really don't give a damn whether it goes up or it goes down, because the reality of the situation is, if my buy box was, I was trying to buy a property at an 8% cap rate and then try to value add it and make it over a 10% cap rate. If I can get that deal now, or I can get a better deal a year from now, is irrelevant, because I'll buy the good deal now and I'll buy the grand slam home run a year from now. It doesn't make any difference to me. And that's what we've been telling our clients. Say, look, interest rates, if those people who locked their interest rate at like 4.25% a couple of weeks ago, why would you not close on that property? If the deal was a good deal 2 weeks ago, it's still a good deal today, if you're buying it on good fundamentals, right? Here's the other thing. Back in 2000, I've been selling turnkeys since 2005. The people who bought, not for appreciation, but for cash flow, it was irrelevant whether or not their property value decreased, because the house's feelings doesn't get hurt when it loses value. So unless you are forced to sell your property during that time, what actually happened was that rents went up, the people made more money, and then the values came right back. So if you're buying on good fundamentals, again, just like what Tim just said, if you're buying for cash flow, not for appreciation, you're going to be fine, right? But if you're buying like all the crazy people back in 2006 and 2007 think you were going to get 40% appreciation next year, and you had a negative amortization loan, and I mean, if you broke the number one unbreakable rule, which is you have to positively cash flow after all expenses and as much as you can possibly cash flow. That's the number one unbreakable rule, and then you should be good.
I like what he said, actually, because we went through 08, 09 as well, and we thrived. And we thrived after. And then you had that influx of all these new investors that came in after, and they got fat and heavy and they ate well, right? And now they're the ones getting knocked out right now because they don't know how to plan, and they didn't plan, right? And that's okay, because we all went through it, and we probably didn't plan as well as we could have, and now we know, right? So the idea is that speaks very well to a certain level of investor who understands that. There's going to be probably way more investors who don't understand that. And right now they're freaking out, and those are probably the bulk of why people are pumping those brakes, so to speak.
Right.
And I'm a guy that goes full speed ahead. I'm like Tim, I'm like all these guys, go full speed ahead. But there's a reason for that. With a little bit of experience behind you, a little bit of know-how, and 1,000 mistakes, it's full steam ahead. I mean, like he said, whether there's inventory now, there's still going to be inventory later. Keep buying, keep going, keep moving, get what you can when you can, let it go. And that's just my mentality. I mean, so I was just jumping on what Ron said, but I agree.
Yeah, I really want to comment really what everyone else is talking about. Dan Sullivan has a great comment, and his is, the eyes only see and the ears only hear what the brain is looking for. I mean, and Bratz came on and said, hey, he's buying. Well, he's going to run into deals because he's looking for them, right? He's going to be able to buy at a deeper basis because he's looking for those deals, right? There are other people who are freezing and saying, waiting for the market, and they're not going to see those deals. Even if a 60 or 70% of value deal popped in front of their face, they're not going to be able to see it because they're not looking. You know, the other mistake that I made in 2009 was I wasn't prepping. So I didn't raise enough money. I didn't make enough contacts, and I didn't know when the bottom was, right? So by the time 2009 came around, or 2010, I wasn't capitalized enough to buy everything that I could. And so one of my huge mistakes during this time was I should have kept everything, right? I mean, I've wholesaled over 1,000 properties. I wish I would have kept 999 of them. You know, so the one thing I learned is don't stop moving. You don't have to buy everything you see, right? You don't have to buy bad deals. But if you're not looking for the good deals in this market, you're not going to find them. And all of a sudden you're not going to wake up one day and be in a sea of good deals. I think you gotta keep moving.
And I want to come back to you in a second, Todd. I want to come back to you in a second to talk about wholesaling specifically. But Don, I want you to jump in and talk about this from a rehab standpoint. And I know you wholesale as well, but specifically about rehabbing. I know it sounds like the cash flow buyers are not scared right now, at least the savvy ones that have been in the business for a while. What are you doing right now? I know you mentioned that you're kind of like there's caution, but give me kind of your specific game plan right now today as rehabbing is concerned.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the more cautious ones on the panel. I'll be honest. I went through 2008. Like I said, I was a douchebag, for lack of a better word. I thought everything I touched turned to gold, and I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't act properly or quick enough, and I didn't make changes and open a restaurant, a nightclub in 2008, and did everything that I should have done. And there was not real estate. And so now looking at it, I have a lot of regrets from not being focused in business and not being, back in the business sooner, and that kind of thing. So now I just want to make sure I'm positioned properly. So from a rehab standpoint, we're looking at our projects, our timelines. We're really good on time. We want to turn, the money 3 times in a year generally anyway. So we want to be in a project in about 100 days anyway. But now we're making sure that we're moving a little faster, that we're not taking anything for granted. We're getting everything off the books because stuff is still moving. I just don't know if that's going to change. And so I want to get stuff off the books. I want to make sure we're shoring up our capital reserves. We're going through our organization and making sure that we, anything that was a luxury is being cut at the moment. Things are overlooked on our P&L are being cut, and we're just shoring up the business and shoring up the bottom line, shoring up our timelines, and getting out of anything that's even a question for us as far as a project, goes. As far as moving forward in new projects, I'm looking at, okay, what did my market do in 2008, 2009? We, in that period of time, we lost roughly 27% of market value. And so, my kind of situation is if I can get into a project with that assumption that we're going to have that kind of impact, and if we do, and I'm at least going to make some money or break even, then I'll probably go ahead and do that project as long as it's not pulling a lot of my resources, right? So kind of assuming the worst, preparing for the worst, and hoping for the best. So that's kind of how I'm, the stuff I'm getting out of, shoring up capital, and the stuff I'm looking at worst case scenario. Am I still going to be okay? And if I am, then I will move forward.
Dude, I agree 100%.
Yeah,
Don.
Ryan, jump in.
You got to get lean on the rehabs now. I don't care if it's multifamily, single family, bungalows, Cape Cods. I don't care what you're building, boats. Get lean. The reality is you got to go back to your KPIs. You have to look at your original baseline budget versus your current budget, your original schedule versus your current schedule. And then you got to go and sit there and look at all the change orders that happened in your project. And they're there because in redevelopment, there's always a change order. So you have to look at those comparisons. Who ordered those change orders? Was it the investor? Was it the GC? Was it your project manager? What are the reasons for those? And then you start shrinking that, right? That becomes a hassle if you've never been in, and I said this on another panel, if you weren't good at rehabbing yesterday, you're not going to be good at rehabbing today, right? That's the reality of the bullshit you got yourself in. You have to look at it for what it is. And in the construction level, I believe a lot of guys can still benefit and still do okay on the rehabs if they understand now how to run that division, which is tight. Because at the end of the day, you could have 2 options, and you got to look at all of your exit strategies in construction. You can go with the idea that you want to sell it at retail, right? Or go for that high rental rate. I get all that. But at the end of the day, if you can't achieve what you want, there's always ways to get out and sell as is, get the property to a certain point. Maybe then you cash flow it, hang on to it for a couple months. There's ways to navigate that when you're fully fluid in rehabbing.
Ryan, talk about just the construction side of things right now. Some people are talking about prices are dropping. Our prices dropping for materials, labor. Talk about just like the nuts and bolts of rehabbing right now.
expect delays in materials. That's going to happen in the next month easily, right? So what does that mean? Investors who are cash flow and have liquid, or if you have a hard money loan, whatever you're doing, right? The time to buy all your materials is now in stockpile. Create your stockpile. If you have the capabilities, do that now. Virtual technology is going to be your best friend. As a company, when we were actually contracting, and that's all we did, we were using Builder Trends. We were using all these systems back in the day that nobody was using yet. And those are for custom new building. They had no relevancy towards rehabbing. So we had to try to use those features the best we could just to keep it virtual, just to have our office talk to the field. That's all I cared about. And now we're ahead of that curve. Like doing this all day long, I do this all day long, right? I do this all day long with project managers and contractors all day long. And a lot of investors are going, damn, I got to get involved in this now, right? This is the future anyway. This was a trend coming out of 2019 going into 20, and now it's here, right? It's kind of in your face. The reality of that is you're going to have higher prices and you're going to have a lot of more competition. Here's why. When you're in the rehab game, you can only hire the C-level contractor. The A-level contractor will not come down in margin to play this game, right? Because there is no margin. We're investors. We're trying to make money, right? So there's not the margin that you would get at retail. You can mark things up at retail at 40%. You can't do 40% in the rehab game. You're lucky to get 10, 15%, right? So what's going to happen now is homeowners aren't going to be doing any basement renovations anytime soon. No one's going to be doing a kitchen remodel anytime soon. So now those A-level contractors are going to re-enter the game, and they're going to shift those C-level contractors out. And guess what? Now you have a thought process here. Do I want to pay this guy 40% to get it done 3 weeks early, right? You got to start looking at your pros and cons now, or can you still not afford that? So my point is there's a lot to your question. There's a lot that goes involved in running a construction company, right? But when you start looking at the ideology of margins, money, that's when you realize it's 50% difference all the way across the board. You pay for what you get. And in knowing that, that's why you have to understand how to rehab before you rehab. Don't get involved in redevelopment if you don't plan to learn redevelopment. That's my point.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron.
I think it's really important too that we all remember, because now that it's been so long since the last crash happened, I think we forgot a little bit about how this worked, right? The top of the market was actually in 2007. The actual bottom of most of the markets across the country was not in 2009. It was in 2012. And did any of us not buy in 2009, 10, 11? Or did we wait for the bottom of the market in 2012 to start buying? The answer is all of us were buying hundreds of properties during 9, 10, and 11 before the bottom of the market in 12, right? In all of the markets that I was buying in, including Florida, it really didn't hit all the way to the bottom until 2012. And it was Q1 or Q2 of 2012. And so everybody thinks that this thing happened overnight and that everything fell just like that, but it didn't. It was a prolonged fall, right? And it's important to keep that in mind, because everybody wants to time the market exactly right. And that's not the way it works. Even the people who timed it just right, like Tim, who started, I think Tim was the one who said he started in 2009. Man, I mean, that's timing things pretty damn good, right? But even then, the market was still falling when Tim started. Didn't mean those deals weren't good, right? So you don't have to time the market, is my point, right? And that's not how markets collapse. It just doesn't happen that way, right? And so everybody right now is waiting. And what I keep telling my people is, you're waiting for something you don't even know is going to happen, number one. And number two, if it does happen, it's going to happen for a long, protracted time. It's not going to crash overnight, and we're going to start picking up these wonderful deals. Other than, I think internally, in our little world of real estate investors, I think like Ryan was saying, there's some guys who are out ahead of themselves, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and they've got tons of deals under contract, and those deals are not going to get funded now. I think that's where a big play is because there's going to be a lot of deals that are going to hit the market back again, right? I've got an apartment that I just did today. Like Tim was saying, they came back to me. We negotiated this a month ago and it didn't go through. They came back to me and said, hey, are you still interested? And I just dropped my price $1 million and sent it back over. That's where the plays are going to come. I don't think it's going to come from some crazy crash that's going to happen, in May. It's just not what's going to happen, right?
I think 2 points, Ron. One is, you're absolutely right. This is not a a systemic economic collapse of multiple industries like it was in 2008, right? This is more of like a 9/11 where we got punched in the face, everybody's stunned, we're trying to figure out what the hell just happened, and it'll bounce back fairly quickly, right? The other thing is, man, like I think timing the market, who the hell can time the market? Like, no, who am I? Am I Nostradamus? Are you guys like, I don't know. Nobody can time the market, right? Nobody's got a crystal ball. So I look at it like dollar cost averaging. Dude, I still get 4% interest rates today. 15 years from now, I'm going to look back and be like, why didn't I buy more, right? At 4% interest rates. So for me, I just look at it as dollar cost. I'm going to keep on buying. And unless this is a hobby, then maybe you go try to time the market. But for guys like us on this panel, who this is our business and a full-time business and want to keep on buying no matter what, we just keep on buying and it'll all dollar cost average out. We'll just buy every single month. Some of them will be better deals. The market will, slip a little bit, and that's great. We can find a deeper discount, or it might come back up and interest rates will keep on bouncing and fluctuating until this thing rides out. But I'm not going to stop living my life and stop building my business because of perceived fear in the marketplace, right?
Yeah, so that's awesome. Yeah, Ryan, go ahead.
Well, like Ron was talking about and Tim was talking about, right? Essentially what they're saying is, so all the listeners out there that listen to this, what they're basically saying is, as an entrepreneur, keep moving forward because it's all about your bottom line, right? Keep making money. There's no reason to stop. Keep taking advantage of how it looks now in the market. Like Tim said, not of people, but of the game, right? But when things slow down, okay, you slow down a little bit if that happens, right? It may not happen to a lot of people on certain panels, is my point. But you have to continue moving forward. That's what you do. We're entrepreneurs. I mean, I'm involved in wine, cigars, and different industries because you have to have different streams of cash flow anyway. So as an entrepreneur, I've got to look at all these different things I'm involved in to make sure that everything's hitting and firing on all cylinders. And if not, we adjust. It is what it is. And I guess that mindset, of just understanding that you signed up to be an entrepreneur, whether you like that or not. Right? We all know that first week we got in the business and we tried to do investing and buy a house or whatever the hell it was. Go back to your core competencies for those who are listening. Go back to your core competency. Whatever your strength is going to get you through the next few months. And like Tim said, I honestly believe this will come back a little bit sooner than people anticipate. I really do. I really do.
Thank you, Ryan. Todd, I want to kind of shift gears for a second, guys. By the way, for everyone who's watching, going to do probably another 20 to 30 minutes of me just kind of moderating, and we're going to open it up to Q&A for the rest of you. I know we've already had some questions pop into the Q&A. Go ahead and click on that Q&A box that you see if you have a specific question. Write in the question who the question is for, whether it's for everybody or if it's for someone specifically. And we're going to do 30 minutes of Q&A, try to get people out of here on time before 9:30 Eastern. Todd, I want to shift focus right now and talk specifically about wholesaling. We've got a lot of wholesalers that are on this call right now. What should wholesalers be doing right now to take advantage of this current situation that we're in?
Well, wholesalers are probably not going to like my answer, but I'd say get prepared to do a lot less wholesaling. One of the things that I saw in 2007 or 8 is that when fear hits the market, right, cash buyers, they scatter like cockroaches. And so right now we've been in this position where wholesalers have been getting obscene prices for houses, right? And I mean, a lot of wholesalers don't like to say it out loud, but if you're wholesaling right, at least in California, you're making more on that deal than the rehabbers, right? You're making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And because the way the margins have been, a rehabbing a house and making 20 grand. I mean, that's at least the way that we were operating our business. Right now, because of the cash buyers being spooked, right? They're paying less. So you're going to have to negotiate better and better and better and better discounts. So right now we just got a house under contract at Riverside. We tried to sell it and we got one offer on it where we were going to make 10K. And I'm looking at the deal and this is a good freaking deal. I mean, a really, really good deal. And I just couldn't stomach wholesaling it for 10 grand. I went back, I renegotiated with a guy, got him to carry terms. That was the other thing. I got him to carry it 20K down, no payments, no interest with a balloon payment. And I'm just buying a thing, right? And so I'm buying it and holding it. And I think, a lot of this is going to blow over. I'm going to refinance it and keep it. I'm going to have 120K in equity. So number one is that if you're going to continue to wholesale, fine. But you better get really aggressive on that buyer's list because who you think is buying today is not going to be buying tomorrow. Now, I can't say that there's not exceptions, right? But what I've seen is that a lot of people say they're buying, right? Everyone in this panel says they're buying, but Tim even said it before. He's like, I'm not paying what I was paying before, right? Don is not paying what he's paying before. Ryan, he's not going to pay what he was paying before. And so a lot of these guys are the cash buyers who are buying for whether it's apartments or mobile home parks or houses, whatever it is. So number one, you better build up that buyer's list if you plan to exit. Number two, though, my biggest piece of advice is start raising that private capital. You don't have to wholesale this stuff, right? You can sell it to a partnership, right? Take 20 or 30K off the top and keep it 50-50 with a partner. I did a lot of that in 2010. I wish I would have done more of that.
Same.
And if you don't, go ahead.
Same.
Yeah.
I sold them all like a dummy.
Yeah. And I didn't have to do that. I'm thinking I needed cash up front to operate my business. And I mean, you just don't have to do that. There's so much money out there. People want to put their money in real estate. Be that conduit, right? Get out there, get on podcasts, talk to your friends, tell them involve real estate. The money will be there. If you have this opportunity, wholesale less, keep more. You can get paid up front. So that's my advice.
Don, I want to bring you in to comment on the wholesaling part of what's going on right now. Are you able to, what changes have you seen so far in your wholesale side of your business?
Well, the biggest impact for us are twofold. One is obviously the issue with tenants and whether or not we're going to be able to evict them in a timely manner. That's made buyers skittish. And then the hard money pulling out of deals is the other thing we're seeing, So, we have a certain pool of buyers we work with, and we are a cash buyer. So, we're looking at deals and evaluating our team, locking them up a little differently, obviously. If we're going to keep them, and then we have a certain pool of buyers that we know will close. We have a lot of guys who work with we're auction buyers coming up through 2009, 2010, and they'll still buy a little bit more aggressively even now. And so, those guys are always great guys to work with. They're not always the guys that'll pay us the most in some cases, but now they're the guys that are still buying. So keeping those relationships strong is important. Obviously, going back to our private money people and shoring up their confidence in us is important. So, but yeah, the hard money side of things right now is also kind of a wild card. We're in California, like some of you guys are in different areas where you're either not quite on full quarantine yet or just starting to go into quarantine or a few days in. I mean, in Fresno, we've been locked down for a week now, and now they've taken and expanded us from the end of the month till the middle of April. And so for us, our everybody's just really kind of, we're a week into, okay, what's going to happen and when is this thing going to end? And 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, if you had asked me, I would have said it's not that big of a deal and it's going to be over soon. Now I'm even starting to go, okay, when are they going to pull the plug on this? When are they going to let us get back to work and do our thing? And I think a lot of the buyers we sell to are starting to feel that kind of uncertainty. And once the herd kind of, starts to run together, it's hard to pull them back in. And that's the herd mentality is kind of what I'm watching right now and seeing what is society going to do? Because like I said before, there's pent up demand, right? And there's low interest rates, and we could take the quarantine off and this market could take off crazy, possibly. But if the herd gets too skittish and too scared, and they don't react when they take, they open the barn doors, right? They don't react, in a way that's going to drive the market, then this thing could linger and last for a while. And that's my hesitation. I think a lot of buyers out there are feeling the same thing. It's just which way is this going to go and how to react just to protect our downside. So.
Yeah, Don, I want to talk to that point. And Tim, I think you brought it up first. So I want to start with you on this question. You mentioned cash flow. You mentioned, the herd mentality. I think it's, for good reason that people are feeling this way. Tim, you mentioned cash flow. You're buying for cash flow. Ron, you mentioned cash flow and buying for cash flow. With the laws that are being passed right now, is the cash flow going to be there? And if it's not in the short term, obviously, what do we do here over the next 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe worst case scenario, 9, 12 months? Tim, I'll start with you. What do we do?
Yeah, man. Well, I think it's a very valid question. And that's probably the most, we're all waiting for April 1st, right? Like what happens 3-4 days from now? Are people going to pay rent or are they not going to pay rent? First thing, we've been very proactive communicating with our tenants, letting them know, here's what we're doing. We sent out letters 2 weeks ago. We sent another letter this past week. And we were very friendly but firm in our conversation with them. We sent a letter out that said, hey, listen, guys, if you don't pay your rent we cannot maintain the building. We cannot pay for the heat. We cannot pay for electricity. We can't pay for trash service. We can't pay for maintenance to come out. We can't pay for all these different things to maintain a clean, safe, healthy, functional environment for you to live in if you don't pay your rent. So it's going to be business as normal. Rent is due on the 1st. There's a late fee on the 5th. We're posting eviction notices on doors on the 10th. Now, if you are adversely affected by this whole coronavirus, if you've lost your job, if you're facing hardship, then you need to be proactive and come to us. I'm not chasing you down. You got to come to us. We will work out some sort of a plan to get you on a payment plan or whatever that looks like. By the way, for anybody else who is facing hardship, here's 5-6 bullet points of different subsidy organizations and health and family services and unemployment, how to file for unemployment, how to do all these different things. So we've been very proactive in making sure that they have the resources that they need to pay their rent, right? So and we're sitting here on Saturday night. Yesterday, Congress just passed the stimulus package, which is could be friggin' bonkers for us, right? It could be absolutely amazing. I got attorneys looking at it, CPAs looking at it, and a whole bunch of phone calls early next week, and just reading through some of the basics of this thing. Here's what I know, man. I know that with my buying criteria and most of the people on this panel's buying criteria, buying at a wholesale price, forcing appreciation, buying for cash flow, not doing luxury, more sticking to that B-class type workforce housing, right? So when the market's good, everybody can afford it. When the market's down, doesn't all those luxury renters move into more of a B-class type workforce rental, right? Mm-hmm. And so by sticking to that, if I in my business lose money and start suffering heavily, one, there's already a safety net. Fannie and Freddie, I could do a forbearance on my mortgage for at least 90 days, right? They've already said that that's on the table. I'm paying every single one of my bills on April 1st. All my investors are getting paid. All my mortgages are getting paid. All my utilities are getting paid. I'm paying every single bill because I think that's going to create a differentiator between you and the guy next to you who's not paying their investors, who's not paying all their bills. And it's going to set you up to take advantage of even more opportunity that comes down the pipeline. So that's number one. Number two, there's already a safety net. So if I did get hit really hard, I know that I can't fall that far. And number three, dude, if I get hurt, imagine what's going to, we're in residential real estate, guys. Think about all the other asset classes. Think about retail. Think about hotels. Think about hospitality. Think about office. You think somebody's going to pay their office rent or their home rent? You think they're going to pay their self-storage rent or their home rent? You think they're going to pay their retail rent or their home, if I know if I get screwed, 95% of the country's way worse off than I am, right? So the government's going to have to step in and create even a deeper and a heavier stimulus package.
Ron, go ahead.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah. And I would just say this too, that if you own a lot of properties and, there is a substantial concern that people may not pay rent in April, right? I mean, when you own hundreds of units or thousands of units like Tim and people don't pay their rent, that's going to sting the first month. It's going to hurt the second month, and it's going to start to really suck the third month, right? So, but again, if you buy on good fundamentals, and that also includes that you have freaking reserves for your properties, right? And you haven't spent all of your money, then you should be able to ride a little bit here, right? But you should be proactive, just like Tim was saying. They should be proactive in talking to Tim and the management company and making sure that they know that they're having a hardship. Well, you should reach out to your banks now. Like I've already called all of my banks.
Me too.
And I've already said, hey, what are you guys doing? I don't foresee a problem, but if there is a problem, what's the process? All of my local and regional banks, not the Freddie. I already know what Freddie's deal is, right? Tim just said what it is. Fannie and Freddie have got their deal, right? But all of my local and regional banks, all of them were like, dude, if you get into trouble, just call us. We'll help you however we can help you. We'll do interest only. We'll put everything on the back of your loan, whatever it is, right? Because they want to keep my business, and they want to make sure that I don't default because they don't want the property back, right? All of that stuff. So just be proactive yourself, right? Just be proactive yourself. Now I'm like Tim. I'm planning on paying all of them. I think we're going to be fine. But if we're not, well, I've already had a conversation with them. I already know where I stand, and because of that, I'm not really that concerned, though they're all willing to help me out. So
there's not a blanket fix all, one size fits all for the local and regional banks. They're not doing anything like that. They're doing if you are facing a hardship, come to us, and on a deal by deal basis, we will talk to you. And that's I've had the exact same conversations.
I have one bank that basically said, kiss off. If you can't pay, then you can't pay.
Really?
One bank. And I would have already not recommended them to anybody who is living. Yeah. So they suck. And it's a single family home portfolio that I own and with some partners, and we'll just have to make that determination when we, when and if that happens, right? I imagine they'll change their tune if everybody's calling them up, as I don't think they want that amount of properties back. But everybody else was super cool.
So Todd, you brought up Tim and Ron. You just got done talking more about institutional financing and things like that. Todd, you brought up private money, and I know Don, you use a lot of private money as well. And Ryan, we'll get you to touch on this as well. Todd, private money lenders, maybe some folks that have some loans out on some properties right now. Someone mentioned earlier that it's easier than ever to get private money because of what's going on with stocks. People are pulling out of the stock market. There's more money available to lend right now, but there's also more fear. So what does that look like from the lender standpoint, a private lender standpoint? Say you're in the private lender's shoes. Are you still lending? Why are you still lending? Is it still relationship based? Talk about those, Todd.
Well, it's relationship based. I mean, private money, literally all you have to do is show up and pound the pavement every day. I mean, people, are they going to take that money now and put it in the stock market? If you have a relationship with someone, especially if you've held any kind of property with them and it's performed, they're expecting this, and they know that the market's going to have its ups and downs. I'm sure some people are going to get spooked, right? But you can't control their emotions. But I think do what you can do, right? Keep your word always, and the money will be there. I mean, if you've been in business for any length of time and have any track record, I mean, raising private money, you'll be able to do it now. You'll be able to do it later, and your current relationships, they'll thrive. So, I mean, that's really all I can say about that.
I think now more than ever, being able to show them you have a plan, whether it's relationships that are new or relationships you have. If you have relationships right now, anybody that's listening, if you're working with private money, this is not the time not to communicate. This is the time to overly communicate and reach out to them via email, via phone call, via coffee, and sit down with them and show them you have a plan for how you're going to navigate this with your business. And then having that same plan to sit down with somebody new and say, this is why I stand head and shoulders over the other people in my market as an opportunity for you, because I have a plan. This is what we're doing in our business to make sure that we're sound, that we're stable, and that we're able to handle things properly as this thing progresses. And this is why private money just wants to know you're the horse they can bet on. And you gotta reassure the ones you have and the ones you're building relationships with, you got to show them that you got this. And if you can do that successfully, it's going to be easy to keep what you got and gain new.
I agree with that. Leverage, 100% leverage. If you have the credentials and the credibility, like for example, I like some of you guys have, I have students, we do camps, we do all kinds of things. So I have a bunch of students across the world, and I've been getting so many phone calls about asking if I can write a letter, or can they use my name or use our company as somebody who's going to hopefully maybe possibly oversee the project, just to get loans, just to even get a gap funding, just to get some private lending, just to put something behind it. And what they're doing is they're leveraging. And that's the exact thing I would be doing. I mean, 100%.
The other thing too, it kind of goes along with this, but there's a massive opportunity for anybody new in this game right now, because there are some big players who are being forced to pull back right now, and they're taking their marketing money out. They're not mailing. They're not on Facebook. They're completely pulling back because their whole world is a mess right now. And so they can't look forward because they're looking at the mess that they've got. And those of you who are new, who are nimble and don't have this big, huge overhead and everything like that, man, advertising right now is so cheap. I mean, Facebook is about 50% for me what it used to be. I'm contemplating getting on the radio. Everything. I mean, think about the radio. Every industry is pulling off the radio right now. their advertising right now is cheap in almost every single atmosphere you can think of. And everybody is right now, every single person is pulling their money back out, and they're hitting their same leads with voice text and with, slide dials and all of these things. And I'm telling you what, they're going to piss everybody off doing that. And then there's all of this huge blue ocean that's going to open up because there's a ton of people not marketing. But I'm here to tell you that the people who have been through this know that now is not the time to pull money out of marketing, pull money out of everything else, right, and then go all in. You got to lean into the marketing right now because there's still deals, there's still buyers, everything is still out there. And now it's even more accessible. Good hell, everybody's on Facebook all day long. I mean, there's more eyeballs in the media right now than there has been ever before, I think, in all of our lifetimes. I mean, everybody is in the freaking media right now. So buy some of it, man.
100%, 1,000%. So the guy that built houses, right? I'm sitting on YouTube daily learning how to maximize YouTube, my YouTube channel. And I'm listening to other guys because you could be an influencer yourself, but I also look to other influencers to learn my weaknesses. And this is the perfect time for everybody listening to learn to take advantage of a weakness you have and start learning and amplifying that, make it better. Because when you go into the quarantine, you want to come back out 10 times better than you were. You have nothing but time right now to fine tune anything you're not very good at, right? So for me, I'm studying and dissecting Facebook. I'm studying and dissecting Instagram. I'm studying and dissecting YouTube because that's my marketing, nonstop, full speed ahead. So if I'm going to keep putting money into that, I want to master that, right? So I have nothing but time and opportunity to sit here and do that. And I'm learning all day long, and I feel like a big nerd. But you know what? I'm going to come out of this quarantine a beast when it comes to technology. And that's the whole idea. So 100% what he's saying, Ron, what you're saying, go full speed on the marketing, learn to tailor a craft of yours, right? I'm not saying you got to be a tech guy. I'm not saying you came from the graphic design world or you're a web designer. But why not look at some of that editing? Why don't you look at the video product, something? That's the advantage that I'm actually personally doing daily now is I'm mastering something on social media that's going to give me exponential growth.
And Todd, I was talking to you, Todd, just the other night, and I've told like 3 or 4 different people the story you shared about your videographer right now.
Oh yeah.
It's guys, people are out of work in every field. If you were thinking about writing a book and you needed a ghostwriter, well, right now is a freaking awesome time to do that, man, because they're out of work. People are pulling back on their expenses. Yeah. Todd, you should share with everybody what you do, man. So just creativity, right?
So, I mean, by the way, if anyone's listening to this, now's time to dust off your Jay Abraham materials. If you are about to lose everything, and by the way, if you're holding a bunch of properties and rehabbing it, hey, you might actually, that might happen to you, right? I mean, but here's the good news, right? The good news is you can bounce back faster than ever, right? If properties fall 50 cents on the dollar, right? If you can get your head straight and you leverage, right? You can be back better than ever in like a few months, right? And so I really, really want to implore you to be able to do that, right? And so one of the things he talks about is relational capital. And so right now I had my videographer here, and I just did an event a few weeks ago, and I said, hey, because I knew that videographers are like done right now. I said, what do you have on the calendar for the next 2 months? He's like, this is it. Every single one of my jobs canceled. And I said, what would it cost to hire you full time for a month? And the price was staggering, staggeringly low, And so there's a lot of people who are willing to work right now, and take advantage. Take advantage.
And that's really, a win-win, Todd. That's the cool piece of this. Yeah. That dude has 0 work right now. Todd just gave him a whole month's worth of work. That guy gets to eat. Todd gets a fantastic deal. And whoever is going to see the material Todd produces is going to get unbelievable stuff. That is a win-win-win. And it was all done by creativity.
Guys, my last question for you, and then we're going to get to the Q&A. We got a lot of questions already. Guys, for those who are watching this right now, get your questions into the Q&A section right now so we make sure we get to them. We're going to do 30 minutes of Q&A. Guys, 60 seconds each. I want you to answer this one question. And I know some of you kind of touched on this already a little bit. Todd, I know you did. And Ron, I know you did a little bit too. For the people that are newer to real estate, did not go through the last market cycle, to the people who are newer, whether they're rehabbing, wholesaling, whatever they're doing, fix and flips, buying and holding, whatever they're doing. One piece of advice to the brand new person right now. I know, Ron, you mentioned marketing, but I'm going to start back with you, Ron. One thing that they could do right now, 60 seconds.
Work your ass off.
Oh, my God.
And this is coming from the guy who for the last 3 years, everybody who knows me on the panel is like, yeah, I have been the laziest piece of crap for the last 3 years. I've done almost nothing. And I have worked more in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last 2 months. I am working. I feel an urgency right now. And if you don't feel it after this call, there is something neurologically wrong with you. You should go get checked out. You should be working your ass off right now.
Tim Bratz, what's one thing newer people should be doing right now?
The only thing that matters in real estate, the only two things that matter to go get deals done are finding deals and finding money. If you are not spending time finding deals and finding money, you are wasting your time. Go out and raise money, go out and source deals. I mean, you guys got a ton of great ideas on how to source deals right now. You can go look at old leads, you can dial for dollars, you can drive for dollars, you can direct mail. I mean, there's a billion other ways that you can go and find deals. Focus your time on finding deals and have conversations, like Toback said, every single day with private money lenders. It is so easy to raise money right now because nobody wants their money in a volatile stock market. They're looking for something safe, predictable, tangible, see it, touch it, feel it, with a predictable return on investment. And like I did, I raised $8 million in the past 2 weeks for deals. $8 million because people are pulling out of the stock market. Now there's some people who are just hanging on to cash too. Because I actually raised 10 million and 2 million pulled back with all this craziness that's going on the past couple of weeks. But I still have $8 million lined up to go and deploy into deals. And if you can find deals and if you can find money, you can do deals whether the economy's up or the economy's down. Doesn't matter.
Don Costa, 60 seconds. What should newer people in real estate be doing right now?
Well, I think they need to listen to the advice that they just got from these two incredible gentlemen here, obviously. And then on top of that, I think, there's this naive optimism that you have when you're brand new, and you got to capitalize on that right now more than ever. Massive imperfect action. We're going into a market where, regardless of how it turns out, there's going to be tremendous opportunity. Like they've already mentioned, marketing's pulling away. Some big players are in kind of hot water messes. And so this is the opportunity to really take advantage of a perfect storm. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to be licking some wounds and having some big regrets looking back on this, down the road. So for sure.
Ryan, 60 seconds.
How do I follow all that? It's perfect. It's great. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, if you're a newer investor, I mean, some of you guys right now are probably going to freak out listening to this because you're the ones that are freaking out, the ones that are nervous, the ones that are struggling possibly with the cash flow. Study why you have that problem. Go back and start figuring out why you are in the situation you're in right now. And like I said earlier, learn from that. Start working on that weakness. Whether maybe cash management you're not good at, maybe it's finances, maybe it's the deals were bad in the beginning. Maybe you can't rehab. Whatever it is, start with what you're feeling right now and start learning how to get out of that, because that's what's going to take you through the next recession. Because there will be another one. It's the way the world works. I guess, and to piggyback off that, I mean, at the end of the day, align yourself with somebody in your market that you trust. There's a lot of gurus coming out right now telling you bullshit, and they're doing very good, right? And they're shaking your tree just like the media. At the end of the day, align yourself with individuals like who are on this panel, the people that they have followings, right? Do your diligence, be smart, and at the end of the day, you have to operate like an entrepreneur at all costs. I mean, from day one.
Todd Toback, 60 seconds.
By the way, great words, Ryan. I could tell you've been battle tested. But the one thing I would say is focus on one thing right now and get really, really, really good at it. Right? Everything that you need, somebody else has. So Tim mentioned find deals and find money. I'd say focus on one of those. Right? So if you've got the deal, you can partner with someone who's got the money. If you've got the money, you can partner with someone else who finds the deal. If you don't have an audience, you know what? You can build an audience, but you can partner with someone who has an audience, right? Never in the history of right now, I mean, I'm so excited for the opportunity that if this plays out the way that I think it is, and again, we're going to take advantage of situations, not of people, right? Or are we going to be set up? And so open your eyes, expand your mind, and partner.
Awesome stuff, guys. Thank you so much. Incredible stuff so far. We're going to hit the Q&A. We're going to try to do this fast. The best way I know how to do this is we're going to limit this to one panelist to answer this. So I'm going to, if there's one of these questions, it just doesn't have a name for someone specific to answer it, just kind of raise your hand up. Hey, I want to take this one. And if someone else is just dying to say something else, raise your hand up too. Okay.
Yeah,
and we're going to go to that
hilarious.
person.
You have 5 A players, and you just told us all to shut up and only have one per. That's hilarious.
What the hell am I supposed to do, Ron?
Dibs,
I got
dibs.
You really want us to raise hands?
None of us were good at that in school, Brian. I don't know what you're talking about.
Here's what's going to happen then. We're going to get to one question. So I'm trying to provide as much value to our audience. All you guys are rock stars.
Hey,
you all are going to give great answers.
I got an idea. Why don't we go alphabetical order and take it, and then if someone doesn't want to answer the question, they can pass.
Everybody's R's and
I'm glad we have
T's.
a
I got to
leader on
like.
this panel.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone.
Can I just
All right, here we
point out
go.
that? Can I just point out real quick? Todd and Ryan didn't get the memo on the proper haircut for this show.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
talking about.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I had to try to find as many bald white men as I could.
There you go.
Here we go. How do you fund your first
still
real
in
estate
denial.
deal? How do you fund your first real estate deal? I know a lot of this stuff we've already touched on. Some of this is going to be elementary, but we need to answer these anyway because we've got a lot of newer people that are on this call. How do we fund your first deal? Would you recommend wholesaling first or rehabbing first? Who wants to take that?
Wholesaling.
So
Also,
Boom, done. Is there a certain formula to look at before buying your first deal? Anybody want to take that question?
I'll take that. Look, go out there and negotiate the lowest price possible. I've coached dozens of sales reps, and the guys who sit in front of a computer and put stuff in a spreadsheet before they go out and meet with the seller, they never do a deal. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a bloodbath. Get out there, find someone with a problem, negotiate the lowest price possible. If you are looking on the internet, just make sure you're 20% lower than anything else is sold for in the area, and I'm talking the worst of the worst, and you're good. Now, if you get in there and lock up a bad deal, you can always renegotiate it, but get out there, get some bumps and bruises, and get something under contract. So that's my advice.
Can I add to that? Can I raise my hand?
Yes, go for it.
All right. I was just going to say, no, for the same thing, know what you're buying. What's your exit strategy before you take down the deal? I've consulted so many investors over the years that they don't know what they're going to do with the property. I'm like, they're all different numbers. What's your strategy? So that also plays a big deal is what are you taking the deal down for? What's the purpose?
Next question from James. With a newer investor or wholesaler in real estate, how do we know when to pivot markets that we're in? How do we know when to move to a different?
But I'm not. I know I'm buy and hold, but I'm not the wholesale savvy cat. So
Should we be?
Guy that says stay in your lane, master your lane before you go look at somebody else's street.
Yeah, I
Master
agree
your
with that.
lane.
I'd rather go deep than go wide.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, at one point we went to, we thought San Diego was getting too tough, and we started doing deals in Cleveland. And I can tell you, we sent out 2,000 postcards and locked up 20 deals. We got 2 houses for free, and everyone's high-fiving each other like we're thinking that we just hit the lottery. And long story short, we sold 2 of those properties, and I think we made a total of $2,000 and wasted a lot of money and time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
So be very careful and ask yourself why you're pivoting before you're pivoting.
that said, buy and hold. There's absolutely zero wrong with pivoting. I pivot. My company moves all the time based on market conditions, and is all cash flow based. We used to be in the West, down in Florida when everything fell apart. We bought the snot out of it. Prices raised. When the prices got to where the cash flow didn't work anymore, we moved into the Midwest. And we'll move right back the next time it crashes.
yeah,
To
if
be
you're-
honest, we probably did 400 single families before I even looked at multi. I mean, I just stayed in my lane. I mean, that's how I always operated. So
if you're a newer investor in a market, I mean, my advice, I'm actually teaching my 15-year-old son right now how to wholesale his first deal. And it's one of the pieces of advice I gave him was start to learn who the experts are. So I'm making him kind of figure out who the experts are so he can get the proper advice. So he kind of knows what the market's doing. What are the good buyers in the market doing? What are the good lenders in the market doing right now? And if you're building those relationships as a newer investor and this market starts to shift one way or the other, stay in communication. You're going to hear from them, and you're going to get the advice on what they're buying and what's changing and why, and you just kind of pivot along with them. So the thing is to surround yourself with the right experts in your market that know your market, and you'll know when to pivot in your market if you were new.
Awesome. Thank you. Sharon asked, for a newbie, what would be the best way to enter real estate investing right now?
Wholesaling.
Bam. Terrence asked, how do you think this economic stranglehold effect will affect the self-storage market? Any self-storage dabblers or investors?
I have about 1,000 self-storage units. Oh, by the way, I don't count that in my unit count because they're like $5,000 a unit. It doesn't count.
It's okay, Brats. I'll add it to them for you.
You'll add it.
Yeah, all right.
Brats
his count,
owns
but I don't count
1,000
that in
more
my unit
doors
count.
than he says, everybody.
So no, I have some self-storage. By data analytics, self-storage actually does pretty well in a downturn because people want to scale back on the size of their house. They don't want to get rid of all their stuff. They put it in self-storage. So how's that going to do? I mean, I don't know. We're going to find out. I bought my 2 self-storage facilities both in the past 9 months. So they've been great so far. I have no idea, but I bought them at such a low basis that I don't give a shit what happens because I can turn around. I can wholesale them off for double what I'm into them for immediately if I needed to. So I'm not that worried about it.
This is a question for everybody. In one word or phrase, tell me, what is your number one go-to marketing source for deals right now? Todd, we'll start with you.
Well, I don't know if the next 2 weeks, we're about to find out. Everything's going to change. But we're still doing everything that we were doing before. I mean, we're still doing, direct mail, Google AdWords, Facebook, RVM, text. We're still doing all that. But again, we're about to see, maybe kind of a resurgence. Direct mail rates have been crashing over the past few years. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't been mailing. So we're definitely going to test and jump into some more things. But here's my recommendation for you is to pick one. Channel.
What
right?
should that leads, one channel be, Todd? That's what people want to know.
For me, direct mail. Direct mail. If you're just getting started, direct mail is the one.
Ryan, what do you think?
It was supposed to be one word, Todd.
Ryan, what do you think? Ryan, do you hear me? What do you think? What's number one marketing source right now for deals? What would you say?
Social media. We have such a presence on social media that everything for us works there, and we stay there. Again,
Don, what do you think?
My lane's always been direct mail. I'm good at it. I know it. And I take that advice, stay in your lane. Stick with what you know with and throw the shiny objects away. Anything that's low performing, get rid of it and stick to what you know right now. And my thing is direct mail. That's what I know.
Tim?
We do a lot on social media and email marketing. It's no cost or very, very low cost.
One word, Tim.
I said or phrase. That was a long phrase.
Oh, sorry.
Ron, what do you think right now?
Buyers, Facebook, deals, networking.
Love it. What do you guys think of, one person answer this, what do you guys think of door knocking for pre-foreclosures right now? Anybody want to take that?
Well, right this second, no. I mean, you're not allowed to talk to anybody, right? 6 feet away. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would have thought it was a great way to go, right? But right now,
just wear a mask.
Yeah.
Wear a bodysuit.
Hey, we're trying to tell these people to be creative, man. You're just shutting them down, Don.
Hey, I mean, no. Hey, look, I mean, no one else is going to be doing it. You know, just saying.
Oh man,
it's like Russian roulette. Which chamber has the bullet, right? I mean,
there you go.
I think personally, I think that's going to change forever. People are going to be a little more weary about who's approaching them for a long time to come.
Man, I got this next one.
You got this next one? Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of
Michael
questions.
Wallace, how do you work your first deal when you're working a full time? My man, I'm going to tell you like how it is, man. Get to work, cowboy up, okay? Before your job and after your job, that's the only freaking answer, right? You probably don't want to work 2 jobs, right? That's what it's going to have to, you're going to have to do it, right? You're going to have to make the time. Everybody who broke free from having a job, right? They probably had a job. So go out there, make it happen. The question is, what are you going to sacrifice to make it happen. That's my only advice.
Reggie asks, I'm funding my own deals right now, but it seems really slow. How can I jumpstart the business? And I'm going to add, how can someone jumpstart their business right now with what we're going through?
Well, funding your own deals, I will say, I always say you should never have your own money in deals. So if you are flipping houses, you should always be using private money. I get 100% by holding costs, acquisitions cost, and rehab cost of that property. And it changes your business dynamic forever. When you're funding your own deals, you make decisions from a position of weakness, and it's the bad place to be because you're always out of money trying to grow your business. When you reposition how you borrow money, you start making decisions from a position of power, and you can grow your business. Mindset change on marketing and hiring and everything. It's a big difference.
I've lived through the 08, 09, Lenore says, I've lived through the 08, 09 recession. As I've rebuilt my portfolio, I've prepared for this day. My hard money lenders have pulled out of my 2 pending closings. My deals have over 100,000 plus profit each. How should I fund these deals? Should I just pull cash out of all my buildings right now?
Find more money.
Yeah, I mean, there's money out there. I promise you, there's money out
Man,
there.
there's money
There's a boatload of money out there.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Somebody just asked that the other day on a Facebook thread, and all of the answers were the same. There's money everywhere. You just have to change your mindset and think that it's all over the place, and then just go get it.
You know, one thing that you can do is just go to the properties and do a live in some Facebook groups in your area. I mean, if you want like something hard to go do, right? Go in some of the big Facebook groups that have realtors and investors and do a live talk about the properties, and you just might find the money there.
Yep.
Tim, this is a question for you. For your strategy of buying 60 cents on the dollar, how do you determine current value when the market and values are changing so rapidly?
Yeah, I mean, cap rates are still strong, or valuations are still strong. Interest rates are still very, very low. You know, at the end of the day, it's kind of a cash flow type play, right? So it's very predictable about what an apartment building is worth, because it's all based on the income approach. It's not based on what did the house down the street sell for, and can I sell my house for the same? It's what is the net income, or what is the gross income? What is the expenses? What's the net operating income? And there's some sort of multiple there. Now we're obviously being more conservative. So most of the markets that I buy in, properties appraised for 6 to 7% cap rates. I've always wanted a delta there of at least 3%. So I'm buying at 10% cap rates minimum once it's stabilized, right? So if we're buying a property, fixing it all up, it'll yield, if I'm all into it for $6 million, it'll yield $600,000 a year net operating income when it's all stabilized and after repair value. So that property will appraise for around $10 million though. So what I'm doing now is, instead of being all in at a 10 cap, I need to be all in at a 12 cap or 15 cap, depending on the size and where the property is located. So we're just kind of building a little bit more of a spread in there. And I don't think interest rates are going to go up anytime soon, especially with all the uncertainty that's in the marketplace. So if interest rates stay low, cap rates are a function of interest rates. So that means cap rates are going to stay low, which means valuation is going to stay high.
Awesome. Steven asks, and we've been talking about this all night. Todd, you gave one great answer to this already. What are some best ways or platforms to attract private money? Anyone else want to add to that?
Networking.
Ron, be more specific on that. What should people specifically do? How do they network? Where do they go? Who do they talk to?
Well, network on social media. There's like a million groups out there of people who do what we do. Just get in there and network. Go to live meetings, any kind of meeting you can get to that has anybody that has anything to do with real estate or financial anything. Go there and talk to people. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to the people at the gym, talk to the people at the country club, talk to the people wherever you are. Just talk to freaking everybody. Tell them what you're doing. They'll naturally ask a little bit more questions about what you're doing, and then you tell them. And you can very easily work in a story, and in that story, there's going to be an investor. And then that's going to beg more questions out of them. Well, how can I become an investor? Well, I don't know. And then you can go right into your pitch about, what you do, right? You can do that in a very, very non-douchebaggy way. But if you have a deal like the other guy was talking about, where you have two deals and both of them have $100,000 worth of profit in them, and you haven't posted on like a million different social media sites that you're looking for a partner, I mean, that's what I would do. I would post in every single form I could find. I have 2 deals. Who wants to make some money?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, why don't you send me a private message on Instagram about your deals, by the way, if you can't find the money. I mean, I'll find it for you if it's got that much profit in it.
If you're working with an escrow officer or a title attorney as well, I mean, reach out to them and see if, they work with any private money lenders through their office on a regular basis that may have money to lend or may not be happy with who they're lending to, or, they're going to know. They're the ones that are usually dealing with these people funding other people's loans. And they've been a good resource for me from time to time. So
Guys, I will say this about raising private money. Based on what's going on in the stock market right now and the amount of volatility and how much, dude, my neighbor across the street, his dad was going to retire this summer and now has to work 5 more years because of what happened in the stock market over the past 3 weeks. We are in real estate. We know how to buy deals at a discount. We have a responsibility to go out and tell people about what we do and how we do it. And I see a lot of people are like, how do I raise private money? And they try to be this like super secret agent and not tell anybody that they invest in real estate and how they raise money and how they pay their investors. And then they expect investors to just come to them and ask them if they can invest with them. That shit doesn't happen, right? Like, you have to be promoting yourself. If you're not out there promoting yourself and telling people about what you do and how you do it, nobody's going to know that they can invest with you. So like Ron's saying, you got to go out there. You got to tell people exactly what you're doing, that you have deal flow. Let's go do a Facebook Live. Let's walk through it. Here's what the numbers are. I'm looking. And so that's number one. One, you have a responsibility because we have a better asset to invest in than the friggin' stock market, right? Something tangible that we can control versus somebody eating bat soup in Wuhan, right? And then it collapses the stock market across the entire world. So that's number one. Number two is I don't go and try to ask people for money. When you go and ask people for money, to lend you money, that's like hunting. And when you go hunting, the prey runs away. So what I always do is I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a partner. Nobody wants to lend money, but people love to partner. They love to joint venture. They love to kind of, hey, I want to get in on some deals. Like, now's the time to buy, when there's blood in the streets. Like, I'm having those kinds of conversations with people all the time. And I'm also not making it a big deal, right? If you make it a big deal and you're like, hey, well, let's sit down and let's meet and let me bring this brochure for you. And they're like, do I need to bring my financial advisor? Should I bring my CPA, my attorney should sit in on this meeting? Like, then all of a sudden it becomes a big deal. So when I raise money, like Ron, Medley, right? When Jason Medley is a good buddy of mine and has invested in a couple deals. I'm like, yo, bro, I got the deal of deals. You got some cabbage you want to put in play? Yay or nay, right? And so I make a joke out of it when I send people messages, and I don't make it a big deal, and then it doesn't become a big deal. Does that make sense? So I promise you, there's a ton of money out there. You got to, one, tell people about it. 2, don't go hunting because the prey will run away. Just kind of offer value, hey, here's what I got going on. Here's what I have happening. Here's the deal that I'm looking at. I'm looking for a partner. If you guys want a partner, hit me up, right? You don't want to come off as desperate because then you look desperate. Nobody wants to invest with somebody who's desperate. They want to invest with somebody who's super, super confident about where they're going, right? I did a Facebook post today about being either a thermometer or a thermostat. Right? The thermostat is the one that sets the temperature. The thermostat's the one that creates the influence and shows the indication of the direction that things are going, right? The thermometer gets influenced. The thermometer is the one that reacts, I guess, to what has already happened, right? And they only just take the temperature. So in a world of thermometers, you want to be the thermostat. You want to be like, here's where I'm going. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to make an impact. Like, I'm going to become a billionaire over the next 12 months because here's my model. Like, boom. People want to follow confidence. So you have to go out and be confident when you're raising private money.
Well, whatever you do when you're raising your private money and you're doing it on social media, do not post all the terms of your deal. Don't tell people what your interest rate is and everything like that. Just do what Tim said. We all already know this, but you don't want to be putting all of the terms of your deal out there. Just throw a little bait out. hook them and then give them all the terms.
You know, one thing too, I would say, if you don't have credibility, you know, partner with someone who's already done deals, and just go out there and say, hey, you know, take a look at the projects that we've done in the past, me and my partners, or me and my JV partners, check it out. You know, I'm really, really excited about the opportunities to come. And you could start to leave breadcrumbs for what's about to happen, right? Don't, if you want to raise money, don't all of a sudden try to raise it when your hair is on fire. Start today.
Yep.
And keep doing it.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep doing it. When you don't need money is the best time to go out and raise money.
You don't want to be hunting. You know, that's right. Because you have time to farm, right? When you're not hunting.
All the way back to what Ron said about 45 minutes ago, which is work your ass off. Right? Make a name for yourself. Let people know who you are. Present your deals. Have some salesmanship. Use leverage. Get on with your life.
Jared asked, we got 3 more questions, guys, and then we're going to wrap this up. Jared asked, I'm a buy and hold investor. Should I tap some of that portfolio without over leveraging for capital for the downturn?
I can say that I'm going and I'm either refinancing everything right now, or I'm at least putting lines of credit on everything. Am I necessarily taking the money out? No, but I want the money there so that way I can go and deploy it. It's for 2 reasons. One is for operating capital in case I need it, in case this thing lasts longer than any of us. We all hope it doesn't, but in case it does, we want to be prepared for that. And 2 is to capitalize on opportunities. And the more liquid you are, like, I don't use any of my own money. I have a $300 million portfolio. I've only put 75 grand of my own cash in, but I still want to be super liquid to be able to qualify for loans and to look, you know, and have enough liquidity to where I could use my own capital if I wanted
to. Pro tip, if you do that, if you guys are going out and getting home equity lines of credit or any kind of line of credit at all, and you just leave the line there when you need it, don't be surprised if it is shut down. So right now in these kind of times, when you go get the line, draw the line down and then stick it in a different bank account. Different bank. Okay, because there's almost always a clause in those lines of credit where they can take the money out of your accounts to pay it down when they close it. So you have to be really, really smart about this, because tons of people lost their butts back in 2008 because they closed all the home equity lines of credit. And when they closed them, they sucked people's accounts dry. So be really, really careful. If you get a line of credit, pull the money, draw the money down, put it in a different bank, and then make sure that you don't keep all of your money in that bank, because they will take the money to pay the line and then they will close it. All right. So really important, guys.
I knew people that had great credit and never missed a payment, and they did that kind of stuff too. So, you know, it's important to understand if lender, that's the one thing, that's the wild card here is lending. If lending gets sketchy, and it's already starting to get a little sketchy on the hard money side, if it gets sketchy at the street level, then, you know, that's going to be the thing that's going to really put a hiccup in everything. And that's, you got to make sure you're protecting yourself that way for sure.
Yeah. And guys, it already has, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but those of you who are buying, who are doing buy and hold already know this. You know, the Fed rate went down to 0, and interest rates for non-owner occupied 1 to 4 family units went up to 5.75%. They did that in a day, and they were at 4.25 the day before. All right. And then the reason that happened was because exactly what Don was talking about. Nobody was buying the mortgage-backed securities on the back end. And when there's no liquidity on the back end, the banks have to artificially inflate that, because they have to stem the tide of all of the refinances coming through, right? Because there's nowhere for them to sell it. And, you know, the Fed really didn't buy that much back, and China basically stopped buying them. And so that is a really big wild card right now. I mean, the interest rates came down again, but they could spike back up again too. And so you guys need to keep that in mind. And many people on here have already said this, but you got to have multiple exit strategies on all of your deals and make sure you know what the hell you're doing, because you could get really hurt with interest rates.
I would rather pay 8 to 10% for private money that doesn't have all these stipulations and all this red tape and stuff attached to it than get 4 or 5% money from a bank that can screw me in any minute, right? So I'm just always out there raising money, and I'd rather have easier access to capital and people who are more lenient, somebody I can pick up the phone and have a conversation with, versus somebody that, you know, oh, it's not up to me, it's up to the bank and the board and all that kind of stuff. We got to pull the line and all that. So although I am looking for capital in every possible way, I am focused on raising private money because that's more flexible capital and allows you to get into deals faster and with less, again, less tape and you know, contingencies and all this other stuff.
I'm going to give each one of you guys a final word. Got two. Let's knock out these last two questions. Someone's trying to do a retail flip right now. He's worried. Jason is worried about having to sit on this retail property when there's so much unknown looming. Again, I think we already touched on this, but anyone want to give like a real 1-sentence answer?
Yeah, I would be worried. And I don't think you should let fear stop you, right? In terms of taking action, but you've got to price in a 2% drop per month or more, right? I mean, right now I can tell you that 3.5 million people filed for unemployment, right? 3.5 million people, and I expect that number to double, right? 2 more weeks. So who knows what this is going to do to the retail market in the short term? Even if this bounce back in 3, 4, 5 months, right? We know what's going to happen over the next 8 weeks. And so I would be really, really conservative. Now, here's the great part. If you've got a retail flip that you're going to buy, don't be scared to renegotiate, right? I just told you about a deal that we renegotiated from an okay deal to a phenomenal deal. And so right now, every seller who's under contract with a buyer right now is just waiting for that phone call. So pick up the phone, make the phone call, renegotiate, and do it at a number that makes sense, right? If the number doesn't make sense, don't do the deal.
Ron, I'm going to give you this last one to you. Give me just a couple of sentences here. And this is a pretty basic question, or a pretty nuanced question, I should say, that seems basic. How do you figure out, James asks, how do you figure out how much a buy and hold investor will pay for a cash flowing property?
Oh, yeah, that's way more complicated than we have time for. Because it depends on the area. And I mean, it
depends on,
yeah. Depends on so many different things, man. But in today's market, everything that I'm selling is all got a double-digit cash-on-cash return. You're going to be, depending on the type of property too, you're going to be north of an 8% cap rate. I mean, and then depending on the market, it could be way higher than that. Just really, all of it depends, right? But I don't have anybody in my buyers list buying below a 7.5% cap rate, even on new construction. So, you know. That's a yeah. I mean, I could do I could do 30 minutes on that. So
for sure, guys, we're gonna go around and give everybody kind of a final word, kind of final last words you want to say. Before we do that, everybody who's watching this, guys, come back next week, same time, same channel. We're gonna have 5 brand new panelists. We have 4 of them 100% confirmed. The other one's teetering still, but Steve Trang out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Who is it?
I can't. I'll tell you on the DM.
Phillips will come back. Phillips will come back. Don't worry about it. He's got nothing going on next Saturday.
Steve Trang, Jamil Damji of Keegley. They're doing more deals per month, wholesale deals per month than anyone I've ever heard of. Kyle Mallion is incredible businessman, multiple multi-million-dollar businesses, is going to be on here, and Christina Kraus, who is just got done telling me. Christina Kraus just got done telling me she's got data.
I love Christina.
Yeah,
she's got.
You guys got to come back and listen to Christina.
She has data on direct mail that she wants to get to you guys, and by this time next week, she's going to have even more data on direct mail that's been sent out just in the last week. So come back for that for sure. So guys, let's go around. Todd, we're going to start with you. Todd Toback, give us your kind of final thoughts on what you're thinking or what we should be doing.
Man, I really have to agree with the entire panel. I know it's kind of boring. We're kind of all in unison here, but I was looking back on my tax return from 2009, and I had a lot of fear and unknown and anxiety, and I made $36,000 that year. And I've been ashamed of that tax return for a really, really long time because I basically did nothing, right? And it wasn't like the market was preventing me from doing stuff, but I just sat there and I was waiting and I didn't know what to do. And so if I would have gone out there and attacked the market with intensity, if I would have raised all of that private money And if I would have been running, just working my tail off during the thing, because everything is going to get harder in the short term, right? But if you put in the work now, if you build in the momentum now, okay, you will come out of the gates running. Everyone wants immediate gratification, but you got to start running right now. So that's the word.
Thanks, Todd. Ryan Garcilaso, therehabdepot.com. Guys, go check him out. Your final thoughts.
Don't quit, push forward, get through it, learn your lessons, and obviously continue learning on your weaknesses. This is the time. Opportunity is going to be there. Guys, it happened before. It's going to happen again. And as long as you live and breathe, people need a place to live.
Don Costa, fliptalk.com.
Yeah, you know, I think, again, I like they're saying, I agree with everybody here. Now is the time to just shore up what you got if you've been doing this. And if you're new, get out there and do it. You know, the one thing I will say about this is it isn't 2008, but none of us, I think, know what this is going to be. It's different than anything we've all experienced. And you know, we're given the best insight and opinion we can get. I think continue to try to educate yourself from people who are giving you facts and not fear. And just, you know, stay strong and make sure that you're out there looking to build the opportunity for your family. Right now, the doors are opening to an opportunity for generational wealth like we haven't seen in at least a decade. And, you know, you'd be a fool not to take advantage of it. So.
Ron Phillips, guys, you can learn more about Ron on his podcast, right? You just gave us the link. Is it getrealestatesuccess.com? Is that where we can get your podcast? Awesome. Yep. I just linked it up in the chat, guys. Go check it out. Ron, give us your final thoughts.
Number one thought, Don Costa has the best microphone of all of us. Sounding sexy there, Don.
I need to upgrade.
Number two, fun drinking game for next week is you got to take a drink every time Christine Kress says data.
Says data?
Data, yep. Yeah.
You might die. Listen to this now.
Yeah. This will get back to her, and I'm gonna get an angry text probably. She's awesome. You guys will love her. No, I said most everything I wanted to say, which is why I'm joking around right now. But lean in hard right now. Lean in hard, man. And if you are a new person, you have just got to lean in, man. Just choose your lane, choose whatever you're gonna do, and then get it hard right now. Right now. That's it. That's all I got.
Tim Bratz, commercialempire.com. Tim, give us a final thought. Here's the last comments.
Oh man, all great comments, and again, amazing panel. Excited to be here, so appreciate you guys having me. Here's what I'll say: whenever there's uncertainty, there's also opportunity, right? Like right now, all assets are on sale. Your marketing dollars, as you heard about, are on sale. People are on sale. Like there's A caliber talent right there, right now, that doesn't have a job that you can go get for pennies on the dollar and bring them into your organization, partner up with them, hire them, and now surround yourself with a team of assassins to go out and take on this market and this opportunity. And then obviously the property, all the properties and assets are on sale right now. I love what Toback said about don't feel bashful about going back and renegotiating because shit's changed in the past 3 weeks. We got $700,000 off of the deal that will close in the next 2 weeks, just because, hey, guys, I don't know. And they're like, all right, hey. And they started giving all these concessions. So properties are on sale. And motivations have changed over the past 3 weeks in a massive way. And if you are poised with access to capital, or somebody who has access to capital, you can get into some amazing deals. And you don't have to be a pig about it and own 100% of it. You can own 25% of it, and you can have a watermelon versus 100% of a grape. So just go out there. Do not feel fearful. Be confident and faithful about what's going on. The market will cycle. It's completely normal. I like what the guy said about using facts and not fear. And I would leave it with, don't waste a good recession.
I like that.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. Todd, Ryan, Don, Ron, Tim, incredible panel. You guys are incredible. And I hope everybody watching this got tremendous value out of this. We love you guys. Love you, panelists. We'll see you guys next time. All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you guys.